Hello everyone, this is Kaveh from TASSTA and welcome to the next session of the TASSTA show. Today I am with Harald Ludwig. Harald Ludwig we know since many years, and we did also many projects together for educating and training the mission critical users, and also I would say companies for knowing more about the standards 3GPP. And that's why we invited also to our TASSTA show again Harald for informing us about the latest updates. So welcome, Harald.
Hi, Kaveh. Thank you for inviting me for another round. I think it's a long time we had this kind of talks, but yeah, good to have it again.
Yes, it's a pleasure, and it is a great to having you here. And Harald, you are for us always, I would say, a benchmark about updating our knowledge to know, okay, what is happening in the 3GPP community and environment. So we had, I believe, in it was in May, I think, the last plug tests. So can you give us some update about that one?
Yeah, so the last plug test was FRMCS plug test. That's the FRMCS stands for the Future Rail Mobile Communication Systems. It's basically using the MCX, the mission critical functions and features, this FRMCS system. And this last plug test was really dedicated only for this FRMCS functionality, for the special functionality, which is only needed for the railways. And it was, as the last, or many of the last plug tests, a remote plug test. So all the vendors who wanted to test with each other, they stayed in their labs at home and connected their systems, their servers, their clients via VPN connections with each other, and then did all the testing according to the test specification, which was developed by ETSI.
You mentioned it was for the railways. Can you tell us about which was the main feature in that case?
I mean, there's not really one main feature, but there is features like functional alias, which is very important for the railways, which is a method where you can address users not by their IDs, but by their roles. So you can, for example, call the driver of a train with a certain train number, and you don't have to know who is today driving the train. Yeah. So you can call based on the function of a person. This is a very important feature for the railways, but of course it can also be used by other users. Yeah. And what is very important for the railways is so-called railway emergency call. This is a special way how they want to do emergency calls, taking into account who is in the area of where the emergency happens, if a train is going into this area or leaving this area. Depending on all these parameters, it is decided who is included in this emergency call and who is not included in this emergency call. And this is one of the scenarios which is tested during these FRMCS plug tests.
So these FRMCS plug tests are really made, I mean, it's about the, I would say, the processes which are used specifically for the railways, because, okay, they are a major user group for the mission critical environment.
That's correct, yes. And they have quite a time pressure because they all want to move from the current GSMR communication systems to the FRMCS system over the next years. And they are heavily working on doing this. All the railways, at least in Europe, but in other countries in this world as well, all the vendors, suppliers of solutions, so they all work together very heavily to make this really happen, this FRMCS system.
Do you know which railway organization around the globe is very close, let's say, to process and to move forward?
I guess all, at least in Europe, I know that all of the major railway organizations have to move to this FRMCS because trains are crossing the border, and if you cross the border, you also need the same system or interoperable system on the other side of the border. So all the railway organizations in Europe more or less have to do it in the same time frame together.
Okay, so the specific thing was that these plug tests were remotely still, and it was very unique. So that is the main differentiator to the standard plug test. I mean, okay, we as TASSTA, we are participating in all of them, but so the main differentiator is, for the audience to understand, is really that in this plug test we are following mainly the the processes, the definitions of the railways.
Yeah, not really. I mean, we have developed, and it's with every plug test we amend the test specification for the plug test, and for the FRMCS there have been some test cases introduced for this railway or with these railway features. But it's one test specification. It's all based on the MCX framework. Also, FRMCS is using the MCPTT, the MC video, MC data features. So it's basically using or testing the same features.
So
but
would
for
it
this
be a
plug
correct,
test, sorry.
Yeah. No, I mean, it would be a correct statement to say it is a plug test, but just with some additional maybe packages on the top.
Yeah, it's a plug test with focus on the railway specific features. Yes.
Okay, and the next plug test is coming. That means we are going to be all together, at least in the companies, will be there in October in Malaga, you mentioned.
In November, it will be in November. 7th to 11th of November will be the plug testing week, but of course all the preparations have already started. I think the beginning of September is the deadline for the registration, so all the vendors who want to participate have to register until September. And we already started with the preparations. So as you can imagine, we will, or let's say it in this way, this will be again a face-to-face plug tests. For the last 2 years, we only had remote plug tests because of the pandemic and people not able to travel. So this again will be a face-to-face only plug test. So we really want the test engineers to come together again. As you said, this will be at the University of Malaga in Spain. They have a very nice test environment. They have already a test system, a 4G and 5G test system, which can be used, or vendors can bring their own systems. And then in this plug testing week, they can all test with each other different combinations.
And what is going to be the focus of that plug test?
Focus will be all the mission critical features we have developed so far. So all the MCX features, plus also the FRMCS features. So also the railways can test. For the first time, because standards are now ready, for the first time we can use 5G as an underlying network technology, not only 4G, but also 5G, which is especially important for the FRMCS system, because this is or will be deployed on a 5G system, not on a 4G, but already on a 5G system. So we can test the MCX features, the FRM6 features, and what's also very important is the interworking function. We started to test this in the last plug test, but we will continue or have it in a real setup now. Interworking function means that you can connect your mission critical broadband system with narrowband system like Tetra or P25 system. And I think you have been in the critical communications world in June in Vienna, where some companies already demonstrated this interworking function. So they have already implemented it. And in November, in the plug test, there will be a chance to really test this with other vendors as well, this interworking function.
Okay, so that would be, I think, a very, that are great news, I think, for all the narrowband users, that they can expand their networks with broadband. Is it only the gateway? Is it defined for 4G or 5G, or doesn't it matter?
It does not really matter, because the interworking function will connect to the mission critical server.
Okay.
And the mission critical service then connect you to the 4G or 5G system. And assuming that the mission critical server can also be the same as for the 5G system, then this is not really an issue for this interworking function.
And you mentioned that the railway companies are going for 5G. What is a specific reason for that they are saying, okay, no 4G, only 5G for us?
I mean, they have several reasons. I think the most important reason is that they want to have this ultra reliability, low latency, which 5G guarantees them, which they think in 4G is not sufficient for their applications, for the use cases.
And okay, so the latency is one point, but besides that, I think 5G is a more, I mean, let's say, I think it's costlier than the 4G networks, which are already existing mostly, and it can be a combination of operators and campus solutions and so on.
Yeah, I mean, this is a complete other topic, how you deploy 5G systems. And you don't have to build nationwide 5G systems like the commercial operators will do this or are currently doing this. But with 5G in some countries, you also have the possibility to build campus systems. In some countries, you can get spectrum for a campus systems or a campus license, which is only valid for a campus or a small region. And then you can build your own 5G system there with this spectrum. And this is also a different way how you can deploy 5G systems compared to 4G systems. So, for example, in Germany, there is already the possibility to get these campus licenses. And I think there are more than 200 campus systems already built in Germany.
Yeah, and coming back to the plug test in November, so it will be shortly before PMR Expo in Cologne. So what is the focus? Which release are going to be mainly worked on?
Yeah, for this MCX number 7 plug test, this will be based on release 17, on 3GPP release 17. Release 17 is now finalized or has been finalized this year. So there's a possibility that this can be used as the baseline, as the base specification. And work in 3GPP continues with release 18. So there is constant improvement on the features. They're also heavily working now to move all the mission critical features and also the enabler features, for example, multicast also into the 5G domain, so that you have multicast service available in 5G, which is very important for the mission critical services.
And you mentioned already this release number 18. Can you give us maybe one or two things that are going to be, let's say, coming up?
There are many work items in release 18. Main interest for me are the mission critical features, and I already mentioned one of these. This is multicast to 5G. Another very important aspect for many user groups is the device-to-device communication, which has been already standardized in 4G, but is not really working as expected by the users. So they are doing some improvements now in 5G, and hopefully the 5G version of the device-to-device communication will meet the user requirements, so that this can be also or will be implemented on the devices, and the users can really use it then also in their daily work.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a very nice one, because I think we did not experience that really a device is supporting it on 4G. And it's okay, good to know that we can close that chapter and go to 5G now.
Let's hope. I'm very careful, because I also expected that the device-to-device communication in 4G will work as expected. I hope everyone in standardization has learned from this, and they come up with really a good solution for 5G standardization now.
Okay, good. Okay, that will be a nice one. Absolutely. And usually the time frame for, let's say, finalizing any release is a year, or when do we expect, can we expect that the
I
release
mean,
is finalized?
you usually a release is a cycle is 18 months, so 1.5 years, but sometimes they are extended to 2 years. I don't really know what's the plan for release 18, but I expect this to be also 1.5 to 2 years until then the release 18 standards are finalized and published. Yeah. But this
Good.
is
Okay.
an overlapping mechanism. So while working on release 18, or finalizing release 18, they already start defining the content of release 19 and doing studies for release 19. So this is a constant development of the different versions of the standards.
Yes. And another important point is certification, Harald.
Yes.
As I mean, this is the point which we are talking, I think, regularly about, and there are always some updates, but then it is again postponed. So how is
Yeah.
the status right now?
Status, as you know, the plug test is a good opportunity for the vendors to test with each other, but it's not a certification event. Certification, DCCA and GCF, the Global Certification Forum, are working together. And there are several paths or ways how you can certify your devices. One is the conformance testing, where we are still waiting for conformance testers to be registered with GCF for the mission critical set. It looks quite good that there will be some conformance testers ready. Also that these conformance testers need to be validated. So they need to run the tests on different client implementations. And once this is done, they can be or they are validated and can be used for conformance testing. So this conformance testing is one of the possibilities. And the other possibility we are working in GCF now is the so-called field test, where you do test your device in a real environment, either on a live network or on a production copy of a live network, so which is the same setup as a live network. And we're also working on this to get access to live networks and to define all the processes which are necessary to do this field test testing for mission critical features.
Yeah, let's be a little bit more practical than like a company like TASSTA, who worked since many years on the standard and on the product, and we are already releasing now also MCX solutions. So when, if a customer asks, when are you able to certify your solution, what shall we answer?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's not entirely in our hands, because this is mainly dependent on the test equipment vendors, on the processes, on everyone to work together. Like in many fields in mission critical, the key is that the different stakeholders are really working together and cooperate with each other to move things forward. And this is the whole ecosystem, the whole mission critical ecosystem is quite a complex ecosystem. And not many companies have the resources to work on every aspect of it. So I think cooperation is really key. And depending how well this cooperation works, maybe by the end of the year, beginning of next year, we will see the first possibilities to certify your products.
So we can say in an optimistic way, beginning of next year, pessimistic way, end of next year.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be very optimistic, maybe this year.
No need to be not realistic. So okay, so but that's at least I mean it's just important to have a time frame, right? That we can say principally, yeah, people are working on it. We reached several stages, and it is expected from the TCCA that yeah, the first certifiers are ready in Q1, or okay, sure, things have delays maybe in Q2, and also they need to organize, and the first I think the first certifications, typically they will have still some bugs, I would say, till everything is running smoothly and everything is, you know, according to plan.
Yeah, I mean, the certification itself should not have any bugs because there will be this validation and verification process. But if you refer to the implementations, I mean, the first client implementation may not pass the certification immediately. So this is very usual that first time you try to test something for conformance, you find some issues, maybe different interpretation of the standard. Have to fix this, and then you will pass the conformance test certification.
Okay, so that's perfect. I mean, yeah, do we need to know anything else about the 3GPP MCX standard?
I think that's pretty much the update of the most important things. Of course, I mean, there are millions of other things happening in standardization, in testing, and everywhere. But I think that's what we just discussed is a good overview of the most important topics.
Yes, perfect. So, I mean, from our side, yeah, we are going to keep, you know, keep everybody updated with the latest news from Harald anyway. And Harald, so I think we wanted to plan to do maybe a training again for an MCX training for this year. Yeah, let's think about the timeline. When would be a good week to do that? And that we start to promote it. I think maybe in October before the plug test might be a good opportunity. Depends, you know, which 2 days you have time. But besides that, there is also, I mean, we are doing the online events together. But besides that, it is also another event in Vienna, I believe, before.
For the training, yes, there is. I will have a training course from the 20th to the 22nd of September in Vienna. Still places available, so if you want to register, please contact me.
Yeah.
And then you can come to my training course. Like I think 400 other people I've trained so far. So it's a good overview of what you will expect or you can expect from the mission critical services.
Yeah, but I think if you consider the online trainings which we did, we trained more people, right? So
yes, also for the online version, I mean, this is it was also quite a huge number of people, yes, attending.
yes, exactly. I mean, yeah, it is important to know that the training in Vienna or the training online with TASSTA, both are vendor independent trainings. That means, as yes, you can see, we are talking here with Harald, so it's nothing about any company or something else. It's just purely about providing information, updating the audience, and what's going on and what's happened. Because, yeah, I mean, we believe that only with knowledge you can make the right decisions, and that is why we are, and we know the field is complex. There are many information around, and the technology is new. So for that reason, we try to make these sessions with Harald to simplify things for you. And you see, yes, Harald is also, you know, that's why we are with Harald, because it's a very practical approach. So we just inform, and if we don't know something, we also say that. So it's not like we are trying to create a castle here. Yes, and also for the training, it is the same concept that we are choosing 2 days, the live event. So it's not possible to get the recordings or something, but it's a live event, and you get the absolutely perfect overview and yeah, the status, what you can do as a vendor, but also as a user about the MCX and 3GPP standard.
Correct. So, thank you, Kaveh. You did a great promotion of my trainings.
You are more than welcome. If you do good things, we are always happy to promote, right? That's the concept. So, so thank you very much, Harald. It was, as usual, a pleasure having you here. And yeah, we hope to see you soon during the online trainings and latest in person during PMR Expo in Cologne.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Harald. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.